Mr Deputy President.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr Deputy President.
I was going to get there.
I rise to indicate that the Opposition will be opposing this legislation on the third reading. I acknowledge that interjection. We've tried to work with the government and other members of other parties to have an inquiry, to have a look at what we regard as the outstanding issues. Having regard to the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary's reply speech, those questions remain at large and unanswered. Mere assurances that the Commonwealth will foot the bill for whatever services New South Wales will apply in the future for Norfolk Island pursuant to some agreement that we haven't seen should not give anyone in this chamber any great comfort. Unless there is a detailed agreement between the Commonwealth and the state government to that effect, which I would invite the government to share with the Parliament so that we can take further comfort from that. The problem with this is that assurances given are not always able to be enforced in years to come, when all the people who sought, gave and received those assurances are no longer part of either government at either level. We have a situation where the Commonwealth, by its own motion, can extend New South Wales laws, or the content of New South Wales laws, to Norfolk Island through federal regulation. Whether we like it or not, the terms of that extended law may engage the obligations of New South Wales institutions. Those institutions would then be obligated to provide services on and to Norfolk Island. Of course, the Commonwealth may pay for some of that, or all of it, or may only do so inadequately. The Commonwealth's assessment of what might be a reasonable fee might not be the assessment the New South Wales Treasury shares. And there is nothing that we will be able to do to argue the toss if they pull the lever and require those bodies to provide those services under Commonwealth law. So the only leverage New South Wales has is whether or not to pass this legislation and the conditions upon which we do so. The problem is, and I think the Honourable Scott Farlow's contribution reinforces our concern, because the legislation doesn't specify the scope of the services. The Parliamentary Secretary says it's health and education at the moment, but the clear underlying intent from the contribution from the government side is that those range of services will increase over time. Therefore, the cost of providing them will increase over time, and the potential risk to the state of New South Wales's budget as a result will increase over time. And nothing the government has said provides any assurance that we have any levers to avoid that outcome, other than whether or not we pass this bill and whether or not we place caveats on it as we ought to. The Parliament has not taken up our suggestion of an inquiry to drill down into these issues and get a much better and more informed picture. In those circumstances, we cannot responsibly support this legislation. Thank you.